How's it going? David from Comic Book Investments. So, yes, the year is over for our auctions. We completed one full year of auctions. So, this is kind of like a summary of basically our year of auctions. Now, we did one every quarter, and so that resulted in 4 auctions. So, we just completed our fourth one mid November. And so I'm going to kind of go over the results of those because I've written the results of the other 3 previously. But I'll give you the overall results for our entire year. So for 4 auctions in our entire year, we did almost $800,000 in comic books. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Our first year. Thanks for everyone who participated, whether you're bidding or consigning with us. Our first auction, we had about 400 listings. Our next one, we had 600. Then our third auction, we had about 800. And this last one, we had a little over 1,200. So each time going up quite a bit from the previous one, almost a 50% increase in the amount of comics that we had. It got very tough to ship out, 1,200 books. So don't know if we're going to be accepting all 1,200. Or more than that coming soon, but we'll figure that out. We're just going to keep going as is. Whoever sends us stuff, we'll put up. So no limits at all. Once again, if you guys don't know, it's 0%. There's no fees. That's right, 0 fees. Many people ask me, is this real? Is there a catch? A lot of people think it's a scam. You have no idea how many emails we've gotten from people saying, okay, this is clearly a scam. I'm not going to send you my books. Some people will reach out or they'll test us with like one book and see if it disappears. And they are amazed when it sells in auction and then we pay them. So yeah, it's not a scam. And people ask 0%. What is it? So it is no seller fees, 0% seller fees, no listing fees, no final value fees, no buyer's premium, nothing on. This is legit 100% free. It might be the only thing like this on the internet for the most part. Most people always have some kind of catch. No catch. We're just doing it because we want to build up like a base, like a fan base, like people that trust us and will want to use us. It's very competitive out there in the comic auction scene. And, we're just trying to build up a customer base and trying to get people to trust us with their comics. And also another reason why we don't charge is because I don't feel comfortable charging for something until it's up to par in terms of what we offer in terms of service or just the way the website works and all that kind of stuff. So we're still working on the website as much as we possibly can. And, I'm still trying to get people the best prices. So, it's kind of like a catch-22. If we charge people and then they're not happy with the prices, then it's just like a double whammy. So we figured if we don't get the prices that people are hoping, at least if they have no fees, hey, you just saved on all that fees, and so we're hoping it works out. So let's go through the last auction we just did, winter. Obviously, things are down quite a bit, but we ended up doing almost $220,000 in our fall feature auction that ended in November. We have our next auction coming up. If you want to consign on the next auction, we have the deadline is January 6th, so please get us the books by January 6th. If it's a day or 2 late, not a big deal, but just please get it because it gives us the time to list the books and get them up properly and stuff like that. So let's jump into the results. Okay, so this was the big book. I picked a bunch of random books. Most of them were on the higher price list of books that ended. But here's the biggest book that we had for this auction. It was Jury Mystery 5-0. Number 83, First Thor. It sold for, as you can see, on the 15th of November for $15,299. Now, I thought that was a pretty good price, but let's check the GPA. Let's see what ones have been selling for. Let's get rid of all these. Okay, so 5-0. If we look at the last 5-0 that sold, it sold for $19.55. But that was back in September, and we got to compare apples to apples. We have, this 4-5 sold in December for $13.2, but that doesn't really count because that was in December, but okay, $13.2. And then we have this one selling for a little over $20,000 in November for a 5-5, so slightly higher, and this was probably Heritage. Hakes. So Hakes sold for almost $21,000. So 15 for a 5-0. it seemed a little low, to be honest. I was like, oh, I was hoping for a little more. But then this one sold in Comic Link literally a few days after ours. This one sold November 29th. Yeah, let me move me out of the way. As you can see down there, November 29th. That one sold, and it sold for $14,000. And this is a 5.5. Ours was a 5.0. So ours outsold Comic Links by, a good amount, almost like $1,300. And ours was a 5.0, and theirs was a 5.5. So, auctions are kind of all over the place. So that makes me happy, because if we can get competitive prices like that, and also 0% fees, 0% fees. Once again, so this one they sold on Comic Link, it's 10% fees. So the owner of this book, it might have sold for 14 grand, but then you're minusing $1,400 from that. So you're getting like 12 and a half in reality. Some of these other ones, if it's sold on Heritage or something like that, Heritage, you're losing almost, depending on the book, you're losing almost 35% in fees. Yes, 35. I said that right. You're losing 20% in the buyer's premium. You'll never see that money to begin with. And then depending on what you give them, they negotiate between usually like 0 to 15% in seller fees. So if a book sells for 10 grand, really what it sold for was like 8 point something thousand dollars, because you have to put in a 20% buyer's premium. And then it takes a seller fee at that 8 point something thousand. And so it works out to anywhere between, depending on the book and the price of the book and the caliber of the book, they might give you like a deal, moving that seller fee down to, instead of 15%, 5%, but the buyer's premium always comes. So that's why it's 25 to 35%, depending on what you give them. So yeah, you're losing a lot there. So that one's that book. Okay, then next we got Hulk 181. This is the other big book. 8.5, sold for $7,400. Hulk 181, what was it, 8.5. Not one recently, but the most recent one was in October, selling for $7,900. 90-day average is about 77. So yeah, we got 77, 79, 75, 72. What was ours again? 74. So right in there with everything else selling. This one for 75. This one was on My Comic Shop. This one for 72. Also My Comic Shop. Some of these are probably buy it nows. You get a little more if you have a buy it now, generally speaking. But yeah, then in December, a 9.0 sold for 78. So that's, it's been going down. 7,800. What does this sell for? Heritage. So you're losing on that 78. You're losing probably like 30%-ish. I don't know. Depends on what kind of deal they got with the person. So you're losing a lot of money. You're losing almost like a little over $2,000 on top of the 78. So it's really the buyer or the owner of the book, walked away with probably 55 to 6,000 after the sale, compared to if you sold through us, you get all 7,400. All right, next we got up is Tomb of Dracula 10. A 9.2 sold for 3,600. Let's see what a 9.2 sells for. Okay, what is, I keep on forgetting, 3,600. One just sold in December for 33. So ours is more. That's good. Who sold it? It was in an auction as well, but then we have a September one for 41. Heritage. Okay, so we outdid Heritage again, and again, no fees. So that person's making a whole lot more than the 3,600, because if they were sold through Heritage, you get all those fees. Heritage is, let me tell you something. Heritage is really good for getting super rare items or very expensive items. And when I mean very expensive items, I'm talking about stuff that's in like 50,000, 100,000 plus range. I'm not talking about a couple of $1,000, maybe even 10,000 or 15,000. Not really. And really rare. So if your comic book is literally a one of one, like single highest grade, second highest grade, not many out there. It's like an old obscure book, like an old war book, old timely book. Anything that's really rare, Heritage is going to get you top dollar. But if you're selling a Hulk 181, which is literally a dime a dozen, you can find them anywhere on eBay at any given point, you're going to get the average price. Because people know they can go search somewhere else. You're going to get around the average price. So, but then you're losing all the fees. All right, Brave and Bold, first Justice League, $26.50 for 3.0. None selling of 3.0 since August, but we did have a 2.5 in October selling for $2,000. So, yeah, that's about right. Fantastic 4.48, first Silver Surfer. This is a 3.5 selling for a little over $1,000. 3.5. All right, so we got one around the same time for $10.29. Then we got one on the 6th for $10.79. So ours is still lower than these, but very close to that one. We got one for $1,200 in auction. What auction was this? Heritage, $1,200 in November. So it's on the low side, I would say. But if you factor in fees, it's not that bad. eBay is 3% payment processing, plus they're like a little over 10%, I think, for seller fees. So you're looking at like 13 to 15% for eBay. But then you have to do everything yourself. We sell all this for you. All right, next we got the Spotlight number 2 and a 9.0. Okay, November one sold for around the same time. Looks like a little over 1,000, and this one a little closer to our time was about 11.50. I don't know if those were auctions. There's a difference between an auction and a buy it now. And ours sold for $9.75, so a little low, I would say, but maybe you factor in fees, and it's actually not that bad. It's actually probably came up above. Here we go. First, Zantana Hawkman 4. What grade was this? A 6.0, 875. Let's look here. Some recent sales. Yeah, so sold literally around the same time. This one sold for $8.11. When ours was $11.15. So 2 days later, ours sold for slightly more than this one. And just double check to make sure it's in line with things, with everything else. Yep. All right, then we got Iron Fist, first Sabertooth. This was a 9.2. Selling for $7.25. Let's see some recent sales. We got this one on December 1st, selling for $1,000. Who sold this? My Comic Shop. It's actually $9.95. So that probably includes like shipping or something. So 70. I keep on looking at this. $7.25. You ever do that? You just look at the number and then you're actually not looking at the number. All right, here we go. Around the same time, $7.50 and $800. This one has a link, so it was an auction to Heritage. So Heritage sold slightly more than we did by $25. This one sold a little more, but once again, you factor in fees. Even at a 10% fee, if it's through Comic Link or something like that, you know, if you sold for $800, yeah, it's about the same as this because it's $80 minus for fees. Web of Spider-Man, first solo clone story. All right, this is a 9.8, and it sold for $6.35. Do this. Yeah, I already looked at this one. This one did not do as well as I was hoping. So this sold for $6.35, and the closest we got is this one in November. $800, another one $900, another one in October for $750. None of these seem to be auctioned. This one is probably an auction at $927. Nope, this is a buy it now. You can tell because it says best offer. So $927. So yeah, it's like the closest we got is this one for $750, and ours was $635. So not even really close. Like if you were the one that sold it for say $750. Now again, these are all buy it nows. So when you factor in the buy it now, it's a little more. Like, I don't know what this would do in auction. It would definitely go less. It wouldn't go more. So I don't know if you put one of these in auction through these other sites of itself for like maybe $700. Still ours is a little low. It is what it is. It's an auction. I don't know what to tell you. So this one didn't do as well. Not very good. We also have these little diamonds here that notate if it's high grade, single highest grade, or second highest grade, in case you're wondering. And then the last one we got is this Ironman 55 in the 6.5, selling for $565. Okay. Let's see, right around here in auction, was selling for $550, $504. That's what they sold for in November. And then ours was $565, so ours beating it. This one, $552. Was Heritage. So ours did better than Heritage, and you have no fees. Again, once again, no fees. Now, obviously, I'm showing you some of the higher end stuff. They're always like that. What was Spider-Man? That went lower. In the lower end numbers, like books that are like $25 and $50, I don't really know how those do. I don't know if they do very well. The problem with those books is most people just put them up as buy it now and like hope someone will pay like $40 for it, $50. And so it's a little, don't really come up in auction as much. But in any case, that's pretty much going through some of the tops. If you guys want to look through them all of our stuff, so you don't have to take my word for it. You go into featured auctions. This is our website, collectorscomics.com. You view past auctions. And we still have to work on the filtering system for this, but you can go through all of our past sales. Oh, there it is. So this loads all of our past auctions, and you can go through all of them, and they notate down here. It'll say fall or something like that. It'll do fall first, and you can do it alphabetical. But we still have like something we have to fix, where if you want to go by highest, like most expensive, then it does all the auctions. So you can see it'll say summer, winter, fall, spring, winter. It'll tell you when this book was sold. So just know that some of these are going to be really old. Like this was from a year ago, this 7.5. So the data is not going to be the same. You know how comics have dropped or gone up and things like that. So you can look for yourself if you just want to go through and see and compare them yourself. So you don't need to watch me do it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, if you want to consign for our next auction, it's January 6th. Thanks again for everyone that participated. Even if you didn't participate, but you told someone about it, that's all I ask is we're trying to grow this thing. We got a year under our belt now. We've been around a lot longer than that, but a year of doing auctions. So 1 year gone. People always ask me how much longer are we going to be free for? For 2023, we're going to be free still, 100% free. Unless, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't predict the future, but we talked about it, and that's our plan. Our plan is to stick with this 0%. Now, for 2024, I really don't know, but for all of next year, it's going to be free. We're going to have 4 more auctions in that year. I think it'll be January, and then somewhere around April, and somewhere around like August or something, and then November, something like that. But again, send us your stuff. We'll get it in. And thanks again, and have a good day.